And welcome to Cloud Gaming Battle. I'm Little Quick, and we're taking a look at Warhammer 40k DARKTIDE. GeForce NOW has supported the game since the closed beta, so let's find out how well the game plays on NVIDIA's best cloud machines in the 3080 tier. If you aren't familiar, Warhammer 40k DARKTIDE is a 4-player cooperative survival experience where you need to perform objectives against AI-controlled opponents. If you've played Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood, or Warhammer Vermintide, then you know what to expect from the genre. As forsaken but still loyal members of the dystopian Imperium of mankind, you will fight against mutants, cultists, and the hellish demons of the Warp who seek to tear down your civilization. The Warhammer 40k setting is deep. You can tell that the developers are fans and aren't just phoning it in. As expected from NVidia, I've got no issues controlling my game. I increased my mouse sensitivity and messed around with my controls to customize the game to my preferences. I like to use an MMO mouse with tons of buttons on the side to swap weapons and use special abilities, so if like me you tend not to use default controls, GeForce NOW can accommodate you. I use GeForce NOW fairly regularly to review the service and the games within, and controls are always tight and responsive. We're on the 3080 tier playing at 4K resolution to push the hardware. Visual performance was a bit less than perfect. Initially I had high hopes as the game was running smoothly at 60+ FPS when we hop in, but once things start getting violent and hectic, the FPS likes to hang around the 30 to 40 mark. If you've been keeping up with the channel, you'll know that even at 4K resolution, GeForce NOW usually holds strong and keeps us at 60+ FPS on most games on this 3080 tier. Even so, it's not unheard of for GeForce NOW to struggle on a new game. But Little Quick, you might ask, why are you concerned about this so much? It's because I never changed the game settings. This isn't high or extreme. We're still on medium across the board in the visual options. After its release, we're going to have to check this game out on more platforms to see if the issue is GeForce NOW, or simply that the game requires top-of-the-line hardware to run past that 60 frame per second sweet spot. I'm guessing that GeForce NOW doesn't have outdated hardware, especially at the 3080 tier. DARKTIDE's not the most stable right now. My friends playing on their PCs report frequent disconnects. They're running higher-end hardware that includes a GeForce 3070 GPU. My experience with GeForce NOW also includes disconnects. However, when I disconnect from DARKTIDE, GeForce NOW blames me, saying my connection is spotty. This is the only game I've had this spotty connection problem with. So I start monitoring packet loss. I do lose a few over a couple hours, but I'm not entirely sure I believe the problem is with my ISP, since DARKTIDE is the only game this has happened with so far. I suppose it's possible my connection to GeForce NOW is only now becoming unstable, but I suspect that GeForce NOW is getting dropped from their DARKTIDE server and sending me a message that my connection's the issue, even though the problem lies in the connection to the game's host, or the DARKTIDE servers. It's bold of me to assume that GeForce NOW isn't reporting the issue correctly, but if their error reporting is blaming the wrong reason, it's worse than them saying they don't know what the issue is. Let's just hope that I'm wrong and my internet was suddenly not up to snuff. We're not done with DARKTIDE by a long shot, so we'll keep you updated when we circle back around to it after launch. In GeForce NOW, your control settings are saved if you quit the game normally. However, if you disconnect due to, say, a game issue, you will have to reset your controls and other settings. I recommend setting your controls and quitting out of the game so that if there's a crash, you don't have to constantly reset your preferences. I had to do this 3 times before I learned this lesson. Save yourself the annoyance, set yourself up, and quit out so you don't have to redo it after an already frustrating disconnect. Now, in spite of these issues I'm having a ton of fun playing the game with my friends. I'm perfectly fine playing at 30 FPS if I never lose control of my game, but for some that FPS drop can be a deal breaker. The early access verdict is recommended, but DARKTIDE itself needs to work out some bugs. It seems like disconnects are common on both the cloud and those playing locally on their home PCs. Regarding the gameplay, I'm enjoying it when things are working right. If Fat Shark can optimize a bit to help performance, that would go a long way. But even more important than consistent FPS is the disconnect and game drop issues that are affecting players whether they're on the cloud or not. The FPS issues are also going to be less severe for the average player playing at 1080p, standard high def, rather than me who's playing in 4K. Maybe Fat Shark is future-proofing their game with these incredible visual settings, but when 95% of your players are going to be running machines less powerful than what NVIDIA is offering at the GeForce 3080 tier that's struggling with medium quality, maybe you might be asking for too much from your player's hardware. But hey, the game's not even out yet. There's still time. If you enjoyed this early access overview of Warhammer 40k DARKTIDE on GeForce NOW's 3080 tier, give us a like. Be sure to subscribe to keep it tuned right here to the only place you can do battle in gaming heaven, Cloud Gaming Battle. I'm Little Quick, hoping that Fat Shark optimizes the hell out of this game. The Emperor protects.
Sanction redactors target neutralized!